I stared at the plate of food my sister had made. She never cooked. Not once. And something in her smile made my skin crawl. 20 minutes later, I was on the bathroom floor, vomiting uncontrollably. And when I looked up at her face, there wasn't fear, only satisfaction. That was the day I realized, my family didn't want to see me succeed. They wanted to see me disappear. My name is Elena. I grew up in a home where I learned early that survival meant silence. My mother wasn't cruel, and not in the way that leaves bruises. Her cruelty was colder. It came in the form of guilt trips, gaslighting, and the unbearable weight of always being the good one. Then came Tess. Tess was adopted when she was 9. I was 10. We shared a bedroom from day one, and I still remember the way she would stare at my books, my trophies, my photos with Grandma, like she was sizing me up for a fight I didn't know we were in. The first time she lashed out, I was brushing my hair. She yanked the brush from my hand and snapped it in two. I cried. Mom said, "She's adjusting. Be patient." That phrase would become a mantra of my childhood: be patient. Be kind. Be smaller. I started hiding my journals after Tess read them aloud at a sleepover. I kept my report cards secret after she threw one into the fireplace. I stopped inviting friends over because Tess would find ways to humiliate me in front of them, calling me a robot, teacher's pet, or worse, fake perfect. And Mom? She just watched. Mom always had a soft spot for Tess. I understood, why Tess had been through hell in foster care. But what I couldn't accept was how my mother weaponized that trauma against me. When Tess failed a math test, Mom told me to tone it down with all your A's. When I got accepted into a summer STEM camp, she begged me to decline. "Think of Tess," she said. "She'll feel left behind." So I stopped achieving out loud. At night, I would cry silently into my pillow, wondering if being less would finally earn me love. High school made things worse. Tess fell into a rebellious spiral of failing grades, fights, even stealing. I tried to reach out. Offered to tutor her. Invited her to join clubs. But every time I extended a hand, she slapped it away, sometimes literally. One time, I got selected as lead presenter for a regional science expo. Tess found the poster in my backpack and shredded it. Confetti across our shared bedroom floor. I told Mom. She said, "You shouldn't have left it where she could find it." That's when I realized, my success would always be considered an attack. My wins were her wounds. I applied to colleges in secret. Each night, I would wait until Tess and Mom were asleep, tiptoe downstairs with my laptop, and apply by the glow of the fridge light. Jenna, my best friend and future roommate, knew everything. She cheered me on like a real sister would. When the acceptance from Johns Hopkins came, she cried with me. I didn't tell my mom for 3 weeks. I didn't tell Tess at all. But secrets never lasted long in that house. When Tess found the letter, she didn't scream. She didn't rage. She cooked. That should have been my red flag. She made pasta. My favorite. Handed me a bowl with an eerie smile. I ate it. 20 minutes later, I was on the floor sweating, trembling, vomiting. My vision doubled. My heart raced. I genuinely thought I was dying. Jenna rushed me to the ER. They said it was food poisoning. But the timeline didn't make sense. Only I had eaten the pasta. Jenna hadn't touched it. When I confronted Tess, she smirked and whispered, "You've always been a little too full of yourself. Maybe it finally made you sick." I told my mother. Her response? If you didn't flaunt things so much, she wouldn't feel this way. You know how unstable she is. Just don't provoke her. That was the last straw. I packed my things that night. I moved out with Jenna. Got a job at the campus library. Paid my half of the rent. Blocked Tess and Mom's numbers. But cutting ties didn't end the war, it ignited it. Anonymous calls to my school's ethics board accusing me of cheating. Fake Yelp reviews trashing the bookstore I worked at. Emails to my professors calling me a manipulative narcissist who abandoned her family. One day, Jenna walked out to check the mail, and saw Tess and Mom standing across the street holding signs. Signs that said things like, "This girl turned her back on her mentally ill sister." Family doesn't mean abandonment. A literal protest. In the rain. Outside our apartment. I was horrified. Jenna filmed it for documentation. I sent it to the school's wellness center. They offered to move me to protected housing. But I refused. Because I wasn't running anymore. I threw myself into school. Studied obsessively. Graduated my first year with honors. Meanwhile, Tess vanished. No calls. No emails. No drama. Weeks later, Jenna showed me an Instagram post. Tess. In a trauma recovery center. Voluntary admission. That night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You were never the enemy. I just couldn't stand that you got the life I wanted. I'm sorry." It was signed, Tess. I didn't respond. But I cried. Not for Hero but for the girl I used to be. The one who thought she had to hide her light so someone else wouldn't burn. Then came the letter from Mom. 400 pages. Apologizing. She admitted that she failed me. That she was so desperate to be seen as a savior, she sacrificed her real daughter for a fantasy of healing. She wrote, I didn't protect you. I protected my guilt. I let your sister's pain matter more than your personhood. I didn't write back. But I kept the letter. Folded, tucked in a drawer, next to my Johns Hopkins ID badge and the letter of recommendation I just received from my supervising physician. A symbol of survival, of growth, of silent revenge. FY section internal reflection at the true payoff. People ask me now, why didn't you press charges? Why didn't you sue? Why didn't you expose them? Because the best revenge is healing out loud. Tess is in therapy. Mom is trying to undo decades of harm. And me? I'm wearing the white coat, walking the halls of a world-renowned hospital, holding the hands of children who dream of becoming someone like me. Last week, I gave a speech to incoming med students. At the end, one of them, a shy girl with nervous hands, asked me what kept me going. I looked her in the eyes and said, for a long time, I lived my life trying not to upset people who hurt me. But the day I realized that I deserved peace, too, was the day everything changed. She smiled. And I saw myself. Not the girl on the bathroom floor. Not the one with hidden trophies. But the woman in the white coat, finally standing tall. Sometimes, revenge isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's steady. It's showing up every day and building a life they said you'd never have. Not in spite of them, but in spite of everything. If the story hit you in the heart, drop a like and share it with someone who needs to hear they're allowed to choose themselves. Comment below, what would you have done in Elena's place? And subscribe to Revenge a Broken Bar, where we prove every day that karma doesn't need an invitation, it just needs time.